so that's, we're talking about career opportunities at the intersection of business and technology. So a little bit about me, Matthew Gonnering. I was born and raised in Appleton, Wisconsin. I did a bachelor's degree at St. Norbert College, and I did a master's degree at UW-Madison. So I've been with Widen for 15 years, the last 5 of which have been in the role of CEO. The first 10 have been in the role of sales and marketing. So we're a marketing technology company. And what does that exactly mean? Well, we deliver technologies that marketers use. The primary flagship product that we have is digital asset management. So we have a lot of fun with that, as you can imagine. DAM, DAM, we get to say damn stuff, damn workflow, damn people, damn systems. It's very common at Widen to go through that, and our customers love it too. In general, we have about 10 million files under management, which is a little over 100 terabytes of data that we serve up to about 200,000 users worldwide. So in a broad brushstroke, we serve mostly marketing and creative teams. So we're talking about career opportunities at this intersection of business tech and technology, which are really where we see a significant amount of need going forward. Not only our own needs, but the needs of all of our customers. So we're going to talk about what it's like to work for a technology company. Then we're going to go through why technology is important for business. Then I'm going to talk about some careers, some paths, and some things I learned along the way. So this is the path we're going to go on today. If you've got questions about some things, just stop me and we'll field it at that time. So don't feel like you're interrupting at all. You just need to ask. All right, so let's go about working for a technology company. I'm going to talk about my story first. I'll share with you how I've gotten to this point in my career. And I'll talk about the roles that are available at marketing technologies companies, in particular at Widen, which is also common for other places like Widen. So my career has really been at this intersection of business and technology. So my career has been about communicating technology. When I started at Widen, they had brilliant technologists already. They had brilliant minds creating all these great technologies. But what they lacked was the ability to connect that with the market and connect it with a way that would communicate to somebody so they'd understand it. So all I did at Widen, basically for my entire career, including up until now, is give all that technology a voice. And that's the only thing that I'm doing. I'm just giving it a voice so that it has meaning, it has context within the marketplace. And this is, it's not where I started. I started in printing. So my background is entirely in printing. I used to sell printing. I grew up in printing, sweeping floors and printing presses and working in binderies and press rooms. So I started in printing, and this is where I first got my opportunity with Widen, because Widen had printing presses at the time. Widen is 66 years old. So they had a stint of about 10 years where it was printing, which is, the sales rep job was, I'm going to call you, I'm going to find out who prints your catalogs, your brochures, your sell sheets, and I'm going to try to sell you the printing services that we can provide so that we can deliver those catalogs or those brochures. That was the job that I applied for. And it was comfortable for me because I knew printing because I grew up in printing. But in the interview process with Widen, they revealed the database. That's what they call it at the time. It was the database. And it was the future. But what did the database solve? The database was really taking all of an organization's images and video and brochures and other content that marketing was generating. They were taking that and they were centralizing. They were putting it into a place that all people could gain access to if they needed to use it for a presentation or a website. So that was this mystical database. But the problem was that, again, nobody could really communicate that. And the customers had trouble understanding it at that time. So the selling model for Widen was we would go in and sell the printing services or pre-media services, which we still do today, color retouching, photo manipulation. We would go in and sell those, and then we'd take the software that we developed, the database, and then we'd give it away. We'd actually give away the most high-value service in exchange for getting all the printed material or the catalog work that we were able to retouch. So why was that? It's because it was difficult to communicate. It was difficult to have customers appreciate the value of this intangible, this software. It was easier to marry up the two and give it away than it was to actually sell it like an intangible, separated from the printing and pre-press that we did. So in 25 years old, it's about 2002, and fearless, by the way. I had created a plan for the owner of Widen, and I told him that we can do better at communicating to the market, this intangible, this database. And I am going to be the one that helps with that. I'm going to be the communication front to that. So I put together a marketing plan and I proposed it to him. And he said, I'll give you enough rope to hang yourself with. And I said, great, I'll take it. So I took the risk, and knowing that it was right for the company, we ended up creating these marketing efforts. The first wave of marketing efforts that we've done, more formal. And those marketing efforts included mostly a support role for the sales team that existed. And now keep in mind, this sales team at the time in this transition, the sales team was very much in the print mode, in the pre-press mode. The selling environment for those services is very different than the selling environment for software service, for intangible goods. So my initial role was just supporting them. And that support role included demos and proposals and helping them tell the market about the great software services of Widen. The industry term came along at this time too. It got greater velocity, digital asset management, so that helped as well. But we were able to communicate better to that market. So we flipped the selling model. So we went to market then first with digital asset management, or the database as it was called. We went to market with that first, and we used everything else as just support. And to do that, we tried to train the sales team. We tried to train that sales team into understanding what the benefits of selling this first was. And that benefit was differentiation. Whatever a marketer wants to accomplish, differentiation. We got to separate ourselves from the competition. So we trained that sales force to communicate the value. It kind of worked, but you're talking about taking a traditional sales force and trying to give them a technology product, and you're trying to get them to sell it. It doesn't go over as well. So it became difficult. We ultimately needed a whole new structure. And that structure that we transitioned into was purely inbound. So when I talk about outbound and inbound, does that make sense to anybody? Outbound, inbound? Outbound selling efforts, cold calling. I'm picking up the phone, I'm dialing for dollars. Inbound is I'm waiting for people to come to me. I'm just waiting for people to come to me, and when they come to me, they're going to be ready to buy or almost ready to buy. That was the structure that we had to change, and we did that. So we created this awesome inbound marketing structure, and it's a technology-powered inbound marketing structure that was driven by content. Content that was meaningful. What do I mean by content? Content, I mean words, I mean visuals, I mean infographics, brochures, blog posts, social posts. Content that informs, educates, entertains. That's the content that we needed to create. So we needed to create that content, but by this time, there were much smarter people that we brought on board to carry the torch. In fact, one of our first hires in marketing was an intern from UW-Plattsville. That intern has been with us 10 years now. He runs our entire sales and marketing efforts. He started as an intern with this structure, and he put that structure in place. And that team now consists of about 10 people in our marketing team. That's what they do. They educate the market. Part of content marketing is educating the market, and that's what we're doing. It's not trying to convince someone to do something, it's just giving them the information and guiding them through a process that will help them make the right decision. So from that point in time, I went into the CEO role in 2009, and I've been focused on more customers, more products, massive cultural transformations, and then focusing on software and talent development. And part of what our university relations mission is to connect with colleges and universities, to talk about the environment at Widen, talk about what this looks like so that you can start thinking about careers for yourselves. You can start thinking about what you can be after you graduate. All right, so roles in a technology company. So any questions about my story or things that I've done along the way, or about Widen? All right, so let's talk about roles. You like this? I put this in for you. Roles, right? Okay. All right, so you have four basic things here. You have marketing, you have development, you have product, and you have support. I'm going to walk through each of these four areas. I call these our four pillars of software operations. So I'll talk about what each of these things do, because they are all involving this intersection of business and technology. It's not necessarily just a technology company that has these, other companies have these, but this will expose you to what a technology company and how they view these roles. All right, so marketing, what is marketing? the creation and communication of value. That's it. So what kind of roles do we have within our marketing department? Well, we've got these, we call them utility marketers. These are our product marketers. The utility marketer does search engine optimization. They do paid search. They write blog posts. They admin technologies. They do social posts. They do social promotions. They're spanning across all of our communication channels. Those are our utility marketers. And they're writers, too. So our designers are also on our marketing team. People that design brochures, the creative designers, the art directors, they're on our team. We have people that coordinate with partnerships and brands. Partnerships, our organization partners with other technologies, like, let's say, a blog system or a customer relationship management system. We're partnering with other technologies to help make our technology more prominent, more relevant for the customers. We have video people, we have customer marketing people, we just hired an events and community person because we do an annual event every year. Journalists, advisors are the people that our inbound marketing teams engage with. So we have that inbound traffic. Remember, we're casting all this content into the market through all these different channels, social channels, blog channels, web channels, and that traffic comes in. Now that traffic comes in, they talk to our advisors. Our advisors are like our consultants. And then we've got a network of vendors that help us power all these things. The future talent for us in marketing is these utility marketers. It's also the journalists. Content creation is critical. Journalists as in, I'm writing content, but not only am I writing the content, but I'm capable of designing. Now this role is not yet filled at Widen, but we're trying to identify, can we find the journalists that can also design? Can we find the journalists that can also build the infographic? Marketing technologists is a big thing here too, because marketing, our own marketing team, we've got so many technologies that we use. We've got over 30 technologies that we use just in our own small marketing team. Who's adminning those technologies? Who's controlling those? Who's coordinating with those vendors? That's a significant void right now in our environment that we need to fill eventually. It's the same challenge that our customers have, because when they buy our technology, they're having some value from that, but they're also getting a problem. They're having to manage that. They're having to maintain that. All right, so any questions on our marketing roles, department? All right, next, got our development team. So what is development? They're the creators of the product, creators of the code. They're creative, they're innovative. What do we have? We have front-end people, we have architecture people, we have back-end people, we have DevOps people, we have quality assurance people. These are the writers of software code. We probably have about 20 of them at Widen right now. We have a lot of focus on UI and UX, which is the design component. UI, user interface, UX, user experience. What does that look like? What does that click path look like? Taking great care to make sure that a customer can go through our technology unescorted, that it makes sense, it's intuitive, and it looks pretty, and it looks cool, and it does cool things. So UI, UX, as much as we've got expertise in it, it somewhat spreads across the entire team. Future talent here is all about agility. We don't look for a specific Java developer or JavaScript or CSS. We look for somebody that may have an expertise in that currently, but that they're really good across all technologies, that they're not going to stagnate in one technology. They need to be good across all. So we look for really smart people that may have a good knowledge in one area, but that they can migrate to others. Because the migration to other things is absolutely critical. Just because we're in Java right now doesn't mean we're going to stay there. We're going to move on to other things after that. We need skilled developers that can go with that. And creativity and innovation is important. We give a lot of flexibility to the teams to make sure that they can create stuff on their own. That they can we have these days that are called hacker days, and the hacker days, they can just do whatever they want for a day and a half, and at the end of that day and a half, they have to present what they've created. Now, it's prototype stuff, but they get to do whatever they want. Out of that comes ideas for us to implement. So, product. This is a newer organization for us. Product it's traditionally a part of these 4 P's of marketing. You got price and promotions and place and product. But product in a software world, it needs to be extracted out of it. It needs to be treated separately, on the same pedestal. So we've got project managers and product managers. They're the owners of the products. There's a liaison between the customers. Customers could be external customers, customer could be internal customer, and our development teams. They're the ones that are that are creating what needs to be done, documenting what needs to be done. Just because a customer says something doesn't mean the developer can interpret it that way. There's a go-between, and that's the product owner, the project manager. We also have technical writers here, people that can translate highly technical information into something much more meaningful. So the future here, as we continue to throttle this, more of your business analysts, your trend watchers, what opportunities are good for us to pursue. You've got data science. We've got massive amounts of data. So think of that, 100 terabytes of data, 10 million files, 200,000 users, 400 global brands. You think we got a little bit of data on our hands. We have a massive amount. What are we gonna do with this? There's intelligence in that. We look at some of it, but there's a lot more we can do with it. But we don't have that expertise on the staff right now. We do connect back with certain universities and try to get assistance with that, but it's not easy. It's a role that's not only needed in our organization, it's going to be needed in quite a few other technology places. Support. So because we run our software, we're not selling the software and giving it to the IT department and having it deployed on any server anywhere. It's probably technology that you're familiar with using through a web browser. Same thing, like you saw in that video. So that requires support teams on our end. So we've got central support teams. Anybody that's got a question, they hit our support team. Those people are communicating how they could do it better, how they can use our systems better. And they're also training customers on what things they are underutilizing. Again, back to the communication thing. Most of these intersections are big on communicating and how we communicate the value of the technology we're providing. Future talent here, again, it's the marketing technologists, which are somebody that admins the technology, somebody that controls those technologies to promote them internally. But there's library sciences, which is big for us too, because as you've seen from that video, we have this mass amount of content. We have this library of content. There's a structure to that data. Library sciences is big for us because the taxonomies and the classifications that are used in library sciences are very applicable for us in data structure. Okay, any questions on that stuff? We got marketing, we got product, we got development, we got support. All right, let's go on to why technology is important for business. We're going to talk about why, so what, philosophy of business, some process. Let's start with a question here. Why does a business use technology? Anybody? Brave souls.
Efficient.
Efficient, exactly. Efficient at what?
Time management.
Time management, excellent, yes. What else? What does time management give us? So what? So what we get is a great answer. I'm not saying so what, but so we're more efficient. We pick up time. What does that allow us to do? What do we do with our time if we just automated it through technology? What are you going to do? Go ahead.
Just get more done.
Get more done. What do you want to get done? What do you want to get done? I mean, you want to get done stuff that you like to do, right? I mean, you have certain competencies that you're going to develop. So what this does is it gives you the ability to focus on some of those competencies. You can advance on some of those competencies. That's absolutely right. Because you want to do what you love to do. In order to do that, sometimes you have to deal with mundane stuff. Well, I still deal with mundane stuff. I can't automate everything and focus on what I love to do. But I can sure as hell try, and I will. So, more efficient, more effective. You get to automate your tasks, you get to save money, focus on developing your competencies. So let's go back to this. Always ask, so what? So what? Big deal. So I get to focus on my competencies. What's the big deal? Why is that stuff important? Great questions for you to always ask. Why and so what? So what? You know why? Because careers at this intersection of business and technology, they help organizations achieve the mission. It's about the mission. What is the mission? Depends on what that company's embarking on. Because by freeing up some of those things, they can continue to focus, laser-like focus on that mission. And by allowing that focus on that mission, they get greater velocity to achieve that mission. You also can realize the vision. The vision becomes more clear as you cut away all these other things, which technology allows you to do. You get to cut away all that stuff, all those mundane tasks that you don't like doing in the first place. Technology does that. Then you get to go closer to that vision. You get to actually see that you can accomplish that vision. It may be a ways out, but you get to do it. You see it more clearly. That makes it more attainable. And by way of doing that, you're creating additional value for customers. Because let's not forget, that's the game here. How much value can we create for those customers? Those customers are different in different institutions. You know, maybe you're dealing with a nonprofit or working with a socially responsible organization. I mean, they're not necessarily referring to their market as customers. So, but in general, you're creating value for the people that are consuming whatever service or product you're providing. And mission is important. And mission is important, so and this is part of your business philosophy. It's what is the philosophy of business? I was always taught it was, business, its goal is to maximize profits, right? Anybody, any business students? Business classes? Yeah? What are you told? What's the goal of business?
Maximize the owner's wealth.
Maximize the owner's wealth, maximize profits, yeah. What else? Anything else you're hearing? All right, so you ask, so what? Like, so now I'm maximizing wealth? For who? Right? For you? For them? Is that good? Do you believe in the mission? Because maybe you're in it for the mission. If you believe in the mission, other things will happen. But it's about the philosophy of the business. The philosophy of the business, why do we exist? Right? What about the vision? What will we become? What does the future look like? What are the values of the organization? What is important to us? Ethics. How do you define right and wrong? And then strategies. Strategy in general, how we can connect with opportunities. But this is the philosophy of business. And these are the things that become important. Yes, maximize value, shareholder wealth. Those are all great things, very important. How do you get engagement, though? How do you get engagement from a group of people like this? You're going to get engagement through business philosophy. You're going to get engagement by me getting you to buy into our vision and our mission. That's where you're going to get people to engage, because it's still a people game. We're talking about technology, but you're still managing and coordinating relationships with people. And getting them to buy into these things are imperative. All right, so any questions before I keep going on this? All right, so now we've got this philosophy set up, and a little tangent there, but let's bring it back in. So how do we realize those benefits of technology? How are we going to realize those? If technology, when it's deployed, just doesn't work out of the box. Some things do, smaller technology, certainly. Some things need to be cultivated more. In order to realize those benefits, you've got to have successful deployment of a technology. You've got to be able to add and implement and maintain that technology in a business. And to a certain degree, it's a little bit of a house of cards, because you're giving it enough attention to stay up, to provide the value, but at the same time, if you start pulling back attention from it, it could collapse. And frankly, it's not easy. It's a struggle to maintain that technology. I know it because we experience it within our own company. We experience those struggles. And I know it because we provide technology services to our customers, and they experience the same struggles. This is where you come in. So you can search spectacular failures of technology. You can find a lot of great content. Here's just two snippets of headlines, but there's disasters with technology implementations that are millions and millions and millions of dollars. Very costly. How do we avoid those? How do we minimize those? They're still going to happen. There's still going to be experimental stuff. There's still going to be things that don't go the way they should. That's just the way it works. You learn a lot from that stuff. But how do we avoid those or minimize the risks of those? Well, careers in business and technology do just that. They help avoid those things. They help, again, realize that mission. They help get us closer to that vision. So, what do these careers look like? Well, you could refer to it as, I use the term business technologist here, but you could take by discipline and by industry. So these are two areas. You could take by discipline. There's two examples. MarTech, marketing technology. MarTech's a big rising thing in the marketing technology space. Who is going to be a marketing technologist? In finance, you have the same thing. You have fintech, financial technologists. So there is, each discipline has the need for a technologist to operate within it. You also have the same thing with industries. You have EdTech, educational technologies. There are other industries that have very focused technology on what they're doing. So I want to go through with you, I'll share these 6 steps of business implementations of technology and what it looks like. So it's important because there's careers at these intersections. These are all the things a business does when they need a technology and they go through the process of deploying it. And you may see things in here as opportunities for careers. So the first thing that happens is you're inspired to act. Someone, somewhere, something happens, you're inspired to act. What is that something? It could be you have a dream one night and you think, oh man, there's this great thing I got to check out and we should pursue it. It could be that. It could be your boss has something like that. It could be you go to a trade show or an event, you see somebody else doing something that's appealing and you pursue it. It could be, back to the marketing role of those technology companies, it could be the marketing teams with those technology companies creating content that inspires you to act, because that's the first thing that has to happen. You've got to want to do something. And once you want to do something, then you start to figure out what is the problem. Because there is a problem that needs to be solved, and that's what technology does. It solves a problem. So what is that problem, and how do you identify it? And you don't live in a silo here either. There's a lot of collaboration that goes on. Do you also have that same problem? Do you experience similar things? You collaborate, and then you document this problem. What does the documentation look like? Well, you're creating papers. You're creating documents that you can share across an organization to make sure you're going to address the problem adequately. All right, then you're going to search for options, okay? When you search for options, you're going to use your network. The people in this room 10 years from now, you may still be networked. You may be in different places at different points in your career. You'll still be networked. You're very valuable to each other. Your network is critical. So you go to your network a lot for recommendations. You also go to general search, and you go to social networks, and you try to find out, is there a solution I should be entertaining in that? And then you start coordinating with providers. So there's technologies that you'll want to entertain. And there's a list of providers for everything you're trying to solve. So you've got to court these people. You've got to entertain who can do what functionality do they have, do they fit what we're trying to accomplish? Do they actually meet that objective that we set forth early on in our documentation? And there's demos, there's discoveries, there's contracts, there's proposals, a very lengthy process. This is the sales cycle that we go through as a technology company. This is very, very standard. But it's not just functionality decisions. Realize that when you start working with another organization that's providing technology, that there is a lot of cultural match that you want to have. It's not just checking boxes on functionality. It's a cultural fit. Does this business have what I want, not just now, but longer term? Good resources, good support structure, good product structure, good release cycle. You've got to have all these things. So the vetting process is not just getting a demo and saying, yes, I want this product. It's getting the demos, making sure they have the functionality, and it's exploring deeper. It's making sure they fit. All right, so then you roll it out. Change management. Change management is massive. It is a massive thing. Some departments, some organizations that we work with, our customers, they have entire change management teams. Because technology is going to change things. It's going to change the process. Who is going to own that change? And how are you communicating that change? Because some of these changes are orders of magnitude large. And you can't just flip a switch and turn it on and everything works fine. It's not that easy. This change has to roll through an organization, so you have to manage a change process very deliberately in order to make sure it's successful. Because some of those spectacular technology failures are not a result of the technology themselves, although some of them are, certainly, but some of them are not. Some of them it's how it was rolled out, how it was adopted, how it was promoted. What did they lack there? They lack the internal buy-in. Who's responsible for internal buy-in? Well, who was doing collaboration up front? Who was doing documentation up front? Who was managing the change process? Well, if you want a career at the intersection of business and technology, that's a great place. That's how you minimize those failures. It's not just the technology, it's how it's rolled out. And then it's maintenance. So maintenance is a struggle. Because now software as a service, I don't know how many of you are familiar with installed software versus software as a service, but there was for a while, and still is, software that would be delivered on an internal IT department servers. That still happens, and then the technology. And then the technology group on site, the IT department is the one that manages that. But then there's software as a service, kind of like what Widen is, which is where it's all delivered through a web browser, cloud-based. So you got the cloud-based software as a service, and then you've got the installed software. So when software as a service started to come along, it was the big selling point was you don't need all that internal infrastructure anymore. True. You don't need all those resources anymore. True, kind of. You don't need all those resources, but you still need some. Because just because you're using cloud technology or software as a service doesn't mean you can vacate the whole thing. It's not a set it and forget it game. You have to have somebody that's there to coordinate the promotions and the ongoing upgrades from the provider, because you're dealing with cloud software, you're dealing with upgrades that are frequent. There's new functionality coming all the time. Who's talking about that internally? Who is promoting that? Because frankly, a lot of the cases, you're looking at pools like this that are dirty and disgusting, and they've been neglected, and you don't want to swim in them anymore, and then the technology goes stale. It's not the technology provider, it's the constant interaction of that technology with the people on the inside and how they're continuing to communicate it. This is the role of the marketing technologist in the context of Widen. Back to the software that we deliver, managing images and video. So if we're delivering this management of images and video solution to a customer, the customer doesn't have to deploy anything on site. They're using it all through a web browser. But we release software code every 30 days. And every 30 days, there's new functionality. There might be new video. There might be new content that they want to promote. Who's doing that stuff? Somebody has to be on the client side doing that. All right, so questions on that process, that philosophy, any of the stuff we just covered in that last section? Everybody gets it? Anybody like any of this stuff? Is it appealing to anyone? Anybody working on anything in technology right now? Anybody working on a technology project for an employer they're engaged with? Anybody want to? Kind of, sort of? Checking the box. Got this class done. All right, so let's talk about career paths here. So a big part of this, and why I put your imagination on the horizon here, is because this is exactly what careers at this intersection look like. Because there are certain paths that you can take. They're very deliberate. There's business analysts, there's marketing, there's promotions, there's product, there's project, there's all these things, corporate communications. All these things are roles. They're very legitimate roles, and these are the roles that you can take on within an organization to start with. But you have to realize that the limitations of your role in business and technology, the limitations are frankly your own imagination. Because there are going to be massive changes, more exponential changes. You're going to roll with that. You can lead that. That's why your imagination is the only limitation. There's other legitimate limitations, not nearly as sizable as your imagination. There's crappy corporate policies, there's poor managers and horrible bosses, there's the bureaucracy of red tape and things that you have to deal with, there's financial constraints. Those are all very real in the corporate world, but relative to what you think you can accomplish and relative to what you start to imagine you can accomplish, those things are very easy to deal with. You get to invent this. And part of why I got into this at Widen, this career, because the way I looked at things was a green field. There was a structure that already existed, That didn't matter. There's a green field, you can build your own structure. You get to create whatever you want to create. And that's exciting. But to get those opportunities, you're going to take on these roles along the way. But then you get to reinvent it. You get to reinvent yourself, which is a critical point in your career when you have to continue to reinvent. You have to continue to imagine. Because there's endless opportunities. And I do mean that. Because we've created roles at Widen that didn't previously exist. Actually at Widen, we have hired for certain roles and realized that the skill set of the employee and the desire of the employee was something different than what we needed to have filled right at that point in time. So we moved them into what they want to do. Great, because it still provides value for the customer. It still helps us achieve that mission. And that's what's important. But we're leveraging the skill set of that employee, the desire of that employee to do what they want to do. Because if they can do what they want to do, well, you're going to be more engaged, right? You get to do what you want to do. You're more engaged. You're more willing to go to the mission. All right, a few tidbits here. So the passion has got to be evident. You have to be passionate about what you're doing, and this is where this reinvention and this imagination is important. You might be passionate about somebody else's mission, and that's great. You might even be passionate about your own mission. Well, then you should go and pursue that. If you want to create your own mission, create your own company, do your own thing, because that's what empowers you. Those are very important things to pursue, because you have to believe in that. And you may not for the first couple companies that you work for. It may happen that just you get a job and you got to take the job, you make financial end needs, you got student loans to pay back, so you got to do that. But you got to think about the big picture too. You got to think about what you want to be doing. You got to reflect on that over the course of your career. And making it fun is a big thing. I mean, culturally at Widen we make things fun. It's got to be fun. I mean, there's not, in some organizations you have this great enjoyment like you're having right now in college, and then it just drops off and now it's like this corporate world that sucks. It doesn't have to be that way. You contribute to the cultures of the organizations that are going to employ you. You can keep the fun going. It's on you. You got to find the right employer, and you can help coach that employer up, but it's on you to help make that enjoyable. Second thing, meetups. I checked the meetup boards around town. There's a tech meetup in Eau Claire. There's not other meetups. This is a big opportunity. Anybody know what meetups are? Meetups are just networking events. You can go to meetups, just search meetups, and you'll find meetups in the area. These are employers that go to meet at a certain location. Sometimes we've had them at Widen. We've had, as an example, we've had 2 meetups at Widen. We've had a Madison JavaScript group, and we've had an Amazon Web Services group. We've had those 2 groups as meetups at Widen, which means everybody that's interested in JavaScript or Amazon Web Services, they just come to Widen. 6 o'clock one night, we have pizza. We have a kegerator at Widen in one of our meeting rooms. We have pizza and beer. We talk about JavaScript. We talk about Amazon Web Services. I don't do that stuff. Other people on our team do. But we also have other meetups. We have one of our product managers right now. She's organizing a meetup for software product management. And that's going to bring together software product managers in the community. You get to go here and network with employees. These meetups are critical. This is where you're going to connect with employers. This is where you can learn what jobs they're pursuing, what career paths they're on. So meetups are a great networking opportunity. Professors and internships. Maintaining relationships with professors was one of the things that I probably undervalued in my education. Although I did maintain relationships with one professor who I have since, we've co-authored several papers, and then we've also co-presented on several subjects. And then I also used him recently. So this is, 20 years out of college? This was an assessment that we needed on our customer satisfaction results. And he was, by trade, more of a statistician. His name is Raj Devasagayo. So I called Raj up and I said, Raj, I got this massive amount of data from a customer satisfaction survey. So he models it in his own statistical way and provides me some great drivers of customer satisfaction. So in general, you just need to maintain connections with certain professors. Those professors are very valuable to you. Not only in terms of your LinkedIn profile building, because you can co-author papers with them, you can do research with them, but also because you may contract with them. You need their help eventually. It might be 10, 15, 20 years from now, but you do need their help. They are critical resources in your career path, and you need to use them. Internships that matter. That intern that I mentioned, that runs our sales and marketing now, I was competing with Kohler, faucets and toilets and stuff, so great brand, fabulous brand. I was competing with Kohler to employ him as an intern. I said, Jake, you can file papers at Kohler, or you can actually do marketing stuff at Widen. What are you going to want to do? Because you're competing as a big brand. So he opted to take the internship with Widen. But it's because he was getting practical experience. You have to get practical experience. You have to get dirt under your fingernails. You need to engage in the process. So I would evaluate that when you're looking at employment opportunities. Automate your job. When you get into your career, part of this technology, what technology does, it allows you to automate those mundane tasks. You can think differently about your job as you're in it. So, like I started in that outside sales role at Widen. Guess how many outside sales reps we have now? Just guess. Number. 50. 0. We have no outside sales reps because we figured a better way. We figured a better way to do it. But you're right, we could have gone that way because there's a lot of organizations that continue to build up that outside sales force. Maybe their model's different. Maybe it works for them. It didn't work for us. We found a better way to do it. That's that inbound content marketing, technology-powered marketing team. So we have none. And an example, I was in a meeting a couple months ago. We've got a lot of customers we're deploying right now. So we have a process that our project managers go through. They assist the customer with the deployment of our technology. So we have a lot coming in. And there was some strain on that group. They couldn't handle the volume. Not on them. It was just we had a lot more customers than normal. The challenge to them was it's really easy to go out and hire and staff up and say, okay, now we've solved that problem. That problem doesn't go away though. When you're building to scale, you don't want to just add people and add people and add people to fix that problem. If you can automate something, you're going to do it. Technology enables that. So the challenge to that team was automate yourself out of that job. Automate yourself out of that implementation process. How much of it can you automate? And what technology are you going to use to do that? So the challenge goes back to the employee. Yes, I understand the constraint, and it is very stressful. But at the same time, we need to free ourselves from that and think about, how can I automate myself out of this job? Because you can focus on the core competencies and developing those to achieve the mission. Remember, greater velocity to the mission, greater realization of that vision. All right, creativity. Last point here. Creativity is your differentiation. So what you're going to understand in technology, you may be a fabulous Salesforce.com administrator for the customer relationship management system. You may be fabulous. You may be a fabulous Widen administrator for digital asset management. Absolutely. Those are all awesome. But you have to realize that your differentiation in the market is the creativity. It's back to your imagination. What things can you accomplish by thinking big, by thinking at scale? Because creativity is what allows you to weave your way through that structure. And creativity is needed in the technology space for how you're going to develop and design and deploy and service technologies. So, if you want to get a hold of me, that's my email address, that's my mobile number, and that's my Twitter handle. So you can reach out to me if you've got questions about anything, you're seeking certain career advice, or you want to talk to one of our employees about a certain role that they're in currently. It's wide open for you to pursue. What questions do you have now? Yes, sir.
Just something I was thinking about, like, so further down the road, like 20 years, do you think you would have more employees or less employees based on technology?
More employees based on technology. Why do I think that? Because technology automates a lot of things. It takes a lot of mundane process and converts it into something that machines and things can handle. The people power, the wetware, that's where the velocity is. So that once we can get rid of all this other stuff, you get caught up in it. And yes, there's careers in that, but if you get too caught up in it, you can't go as fast to your mission. That's what it's about. You have to achieve that mission. And if there's something in your way stopping you, then you gotta get rid of it. Removing obstacles, I mean, my primary role as CEO is removing obstacles. I have to get rid of obstacles. Some of those obstacles can be removed with technology. So more. In fact, we hired 4 in the last, we employ about 80. We've hired 4 in the last couple of months. We've got 10 planned next year for new hires because we're on this significant growth rate for customers. And technology is gonna help us hire the right 10. Not the 10 that's gonna just keep things going. The 10 that's gonna take it to the next level.
You have to do job shadowing and all that.
What's that?
In your company.
Job shadowing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that we've got internships that we're starting to establish for that exact purpose. So, which is why we're here. There's one of our rock star developers, Ray, he's in a CS architecture course talking about roles in software development. So why we're here and why we're with university relations like this is to expose the structure to you through internships and working with Kevin and his team and working with your, I know you've got collaborative efforts here, so there's certain things that we're gonna do to help give you opportunities to shadow that. So yes. Because the talent is, frankly, there's just not enough talent. There's not enough people. We have job openings right now that are very difficult to be filled because that talent is not there. And by communicating these technology roles, marketing technologists, software development, QA, product management, all these roles are roles that we need. And that's why exposing you to this now is important because there's careers, there's a lot of money in it. You're going to be in it for the money, but you're in it in the longer term for the mission. Yes?
Do you have any buying roles? I know it like works hand in hand with product management.
Buying, procurement? Like procurement, yeah, so buyer, people that buy the technology, people that buy products and things. We don't have any procurement roles at Widen. Sometimes we do sell to organizations that have a procurement arm to them. So they have buyers, buying agents. So we may work with, bigger organizations have this. So if we work with a large organizations, they may have the marketing team and the creative team, and then the marketing and creative team vets the vendor and says, all right, they're gonna fit. And now it goes off to their procurement team and contracts team. And then we deal with finance and legal, and then we work with them to finalize the agreement. So although we don't have that at Widen, we certainly manage relationships with procurement or buyers, purchasing agents, and the like. Does that answer your question?
Yep.
And that's not an easy process to go through. Sometimes, that's the big organizations have a lot of process there. Rightfully so, they're very successful. So what do you have to go through to have your technology implemented? Sometimes it's legal and finance procurement process.
So like, what's your product management?
What's-
Like, how many interns?
Do we have many interns on that side? No. But that doesn't mean we won't. That means software product management in our area is up and coming. That's why we created the meetup. So product management, the ownership of the product, the liaison between the customers and the development team, it was a critical need for us going forward, especially in those future areas like data science, business analysts. Those are big areas for us. So we need the help. Those meetups are important. Job shadowing, internships are also important. So right now, we are identifying where we can take out the interns, where we can take out the job shadows. And we've got some of those that are more immediately available, and some of them, and frankly, some of them, when you reach out to companies, sometimes they don't have those internships structured yet. Like I mentioned before, we're trying to also map to your talents. What do you want to do? Do you want to get into software product management? All right, well, let's vet you for other skills and then see how your talents can be applied at Widen with our software product. Because you can work with Deanna and Kara and the rest of that team because you'll learn a lot from them. But they're also learning. That's where these meetups are important. So going to those is a great networking event. Does that answer your question? Other questions? Yes, sir.
When you wanted to represent your new product to the consumers, would you rather to rely on the technology to do this job or to the employees' skills to do it in person? Like to go to companies and represent this new product, we have this, we have that, or just you would rather to rely on technologists and they can do like all this stuff specifically?
Yeah, great question. So the question is about the selling model and about who's representing the technology. Is it represented by people on our team? Do we go to the client side, or is it represented by itself and it sells itself basically? So for us, we've seen it two different ways. We have two models running right now for two different products. One model is that we get the inbound traffic, and that traffic comes to us because they've seen demos of our product online. They've seen recorded demos, they've engaged with other things, and they're ready to take another step. And that other step is now assisted. That advisor team that we've got, the advisors are the ones that are walking them through that process. So there are people on our team that are on the phone, online. We don't go to client sites very much. We go on very rare occasions. We used to go a lot more, but it doesn't scale very well. So we can go at the office, then we webcast, and we have them on a conference call. We walk them through the technology, and we go through the discovery process that way. In a different product, though, it's self-sign-up, self-pay, self-admin, and we're not involved at all. We've built all those things on the front end so that we don't have to do those things on the back end. But product price goes way down at that point in time. Much simpler to use. There's other selling models that are all about the reps going out in the field. I mean, you're flying all over the world demoing the product and showing off what the product can do. So there's a lot of different approaches there. Our approach is twofold. One is self-serve, self-sign, and the other one is will assist after they pre-qualify themselves through the things that we put out there online, and then we walk them through the rest. Great question. Does that answer it?
Thank you.
Good. Other questions? Okay.
You can ask questions through the email or on Twitter. Thank you so much, Matthew. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
I appreciate it.